Hey gang, so today we're looking at something really special. And I say special just because I have never come across a fidget made with so many organic materials. It's the Mahjong 2.0 by GEEONE in Siam rosewood and leather. This is honestly a treat. It smells great. It smells like wood and leather. It's a completely different experience. I now break my reviews into different categories: sound, weight, haptics, ergonomics, internals, but I have yet to do one on smell. This smells fantastic. If you like wood and leather, the Mahjong 2.0 is for you, and it's for me. This is absolutely for me. All right, let's get this on the camera, have a look. It's the Mahjong 2.0. Let's go. Okay, here we go with the Mahjong 2.0. Now, as I said in the intro, the biggest highlight of this fidget is the materials. It is, I mean, this is beautiful, gorgeous to look at, and the highlight is what this is made of. That makes it unique. There is something really nice sometimes about stepping away from kind of the usual metals and plastics and things that we're kind of used to in the fidget world, and getting your hands onto something organic really makes it kind of special. So let's get right into it. Playability. Now, really, this can only do one thing. It's a mechanical slider in one direction. And I will say, it's not a great mechanical slider. It's nice, it's okay, but it's not like super smooth. It's not as smooth as I would like it to be. It's a little rough. Now we'll open this up, we'll have a look and see what's going on inside and why that may be happening, how we can maybe tune it a bit. But overall, I'd say, like playability, it's pretty simple. And the single direction does kind of knock it down a little bit in terms of what it can do and sort of its overall mark as a really good slider. I think it relies on the materials, the wood and the leather, to kind of make it more desirable. But in terms of the actual play, it's good, but it's not great. Okay, sound. Now, I mean, we literally just heard it, but let's really focus on what the sound is here. There are a couple of different ways we can tune this in terms of changing balls out, but currently here is the sound. And of course, the slower you go, the more pronounced that little ping is. And then faster. Okay, haptics. Now, again, like a lot of mechanical sliders, there's not a lot to look at in terms of haptics here. We're really dealing with these kind of plastic comb sort of sensations. Again, when you run your fingernail across the teeth of a plastic comb. It's okay. And again, I say that obviously for me, for my preference. It's not great. I find it sort of sits in between the really smooth zipper and the really kind of hard, punchy snap that you get from really strong mechanical sliders. So it's got that middle ground, which again is fine. I'm sure it's fine for a lot of people. It's not really my thing. Again, I don't think it's not a strong enough sensation to be in either kind of category in terms of a haptic. It sort of falls weirdly in the middle of it. So not super satisfying. I think that probably, obviously that ties into the actual playability itself. So on the haptic scale, I'd say it's okay, but there's nothing really remarkable about it. So, you know, it's kind of like a middle ground thing, I guess. Okay, here we go with ergonomics. Now, let's be honest, you're getting this because it's wood and it's leather. That's why you're getting this. You're not getting this for the awesome design or the hope of some incredible haptics or play action. What drew your eye to this, which is the same thing that drew my eye to it, is wood and leather and how unique that is. So in terms of ergonomics there, it's fantastic, right? You're literally touching wood and leather while you fidget. That makes it amazing. But once you get past that, it's a little thick. So it's a little big and it's a little clunky, especially with just these kind of flat edges. I mean, we've got a little bit of a bevel going on the edging here, but yeah, see like right there. So there is some effort into kind of shaping this down, but if this had been like a smooth, rounded, slightly pebble angle to it, that would have been phenomenal. So it does feel a little clunky. It's a shame because it's so interesting being wood and leather, but I think the wood is also what's hurting it in terms of its ergonomic shape, which is just this clunky brick. So, it's a balance. You're getting this, it's wood, it's leather, fantastic. However, that does cause it to be a little boxy. Okay, let's look at the weight. Let's get our scale in here. All right, so we've got in grams, we're looking at 38 grams and ounces, 1.35. This is a very lightweight fidget. So that's another kind of issue with it overall, is that it would be nice if it had a little bit more weight to it. When things are very, very light, I can't help but think cheap. And I know that's not always the case because a lot of metals are very light. Carbon fiber, which can be very expensive, is very, very light. However, with something like this, I would have liked a little more weight to it just because it is so unique. So there you go. Very, very light slider. Okay, time to get into the internals. Now let's see what we get with this. We get, let's see, can we see it here? Yeah. So we get a couple of these glass beads, what looks to be ceramic, and a couple of, they kind of look like Zerk, and then 2 different kinds of springs. So let's open this up and see why we get all of these different things. So we'll see here when we open this up, we can actually see right into the other side with the plate. And that's a pretty easy place to start. So we just pop right through and this lid comes off magnetically and gives us access to our little screws in here. So let's open these up. Okay, and we lift this straight up. Now, here is where we can see a couple of things. We have 2 different features at play here. We have this little housing, which gives us our ball. Let's see if we can show you that before I open it up. Inside here, we've got a ball, and it's pressing out onto the track on either side. And as we slide it across, so that is one part of the feedback. And if we take it out, let's take it out carefully. You can see we've got our little balls on either side and a spring that runs through the middle. Now in this case, there was a combination of a glass and a ceramic bead with the spring. And on this side, we can increase or decrease the strength level of that zipper feel as we run through our bigger track. So we kind of have this very tight track where our middle piece runs across, and then we also have our outer track where we've got our kind of balls sitting. Now, this configuration is a bit odd, so I'm going to change this up. And in here we have our Zerk balls. Let's get this one spring out. There we go. So this is, at least mine came stock this way, but we can change it so that, for instance, with just one ball, and let's say no screws and balls in the middle, other way, we have a very different feel. Now this one is pretty mushy. So if we take this out. So in this case, I had initially a ball in each track here down the side. Or sorry, we had two on one side. Let's try one on each side here. And again, we're trying one on each without any balls in the middle. So you can see that it's already changed just by placing these balls on a different track. Now again, the issue is this does not travel very far, and that's because of this setup. So I know a lot of people prefer things that when they play that it can actually extend. In fact, my friend Stevie had just commented on one of my previous, I think on the shark slider, Stevie, I think that was it, where they were saying that they found that it didn't extend far enough, and yet I liked how far it extended. And that just goes to show you, we all have different ways to use our fidgets, and it's actually pretty interesting how I didn't even think for a second that it had a short travel. But Stevie did find it had a short travel. And that, again, I love hearing that because it always reminds me that we all experience fidgets differently. We all have a preference when we're playing with something. So in this case, though, I really would have liked to have seen a further travel or the ability to travel up and down. We can't do that because of the way this is set up, that everything is at the top. If it was in the middle, we'd get a little bit of back and forth. Instead, they've opted for one direction and a slightly longer draw in one direction, which I get. So now if you are so inclined, you can always add in more springs and add in 2 more balls if you want. And that might be kind of a fun one. You know what? I'm not a big tweaker in terms of like adding things constantly on camera and sort of saying, let's try this, let's try that. However, I am curious in this case to see if we can get this feeling good without the middle teeth in there, like without the middle ball working against the middle track here. Oh, get back here. So I'm going to see what happens with this if we put in 4 of these. I don't even know if they're Zerk. I never do. Now I also notice that there's a different colored spring in here. We've got a steel spring instead of a brass one. So that's kind of odd too. Like you have just enough for 3 springs and a what looks to be a steel spring. But we'll see. Maybe there's no difference. Okay, so we have 4 balls in there now. Let's get this back on top. Now the reason I put the lid back on every time is because part of the experience is the sound. And if the lid traps the sound in. So I kind of want to get a full sense of. Yeah, again, it's okay. It's not great though. And I am going to go back and insert or reinsert our middle spring. So these get really, really tricky. I'm going to put everything else aside for a minute just so we can kind of focus on what's happening here. So we've got a Zerk ball And we've got a spring. And we're going to put in another Zerk ball. So the hardest part about this is nothing wants to stay in. As you can see, you've got these two balls kind of knocking around, and you've got this spring that's pushing both balls outwards. So it really makes it challenging to put everything back in its track. So getting this back in here is a pain. So if you have one side in, what helps is to just get a tiny little bit, like a little tiny little flat screwdriver bit, and just push the balls in. And then they're in. Because they have nowhere else to go, right? Like if you can kind of line this up and just push them in a little bit, they will eventually snap into place. Okay, so with this in, and we're gonna go back to, let's see, what configuration did I like here? Let's take these out. Let's stick with 2 Zerk balls, 1 on each side. Now, remember, too, you don't want to over-tighten this, because tightening this will absolutely affect the action. So if you go a little looser, just to get a feel. Now, in this case, a lot of the stiffness is coming from that spring trying to push out those 2 Zerk balls. And there's some of these springs, I'm guessing, are weaker. So that's also something that you might want to consider, is changing up the spring in here to get a different sensation. So that's with the Zerk balls, which it's a very different sound from the glass. I'm not sure if I'll keep it like that, but at some point I might switch it over. But for now, I think it's fine. Okay, gang, final thoughts. I think you're getting this for the cosmetics and the uniqueness of the material, not necessarily for the play. I think if you just tried to get this as a mechanical slider, you might be disappointed with it. That's not to say everybody's going to feel that way. I guarantee you there are plenty of people who actually love this as a mechanical slider, and that is completely valid. But in my opinion, I just don't feel like this is a great slider. It's okay, but it's like sound-wise, haptic-wise, it's to me, it's kind of low on the charts, but the uniqueness of the materials is really what makes this something to have in the collection. Okay, gang, thanks for watching.